Hi, this is Seth David from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This time we're talking about cloud-based RSS feed readers. Why? Because Google has rattled the cage and said they're discontinuing the Google Reader. And I'll link back, of course, to the post I did on the Sleater blog recently about RSS feed readers. I had recorded it about a week or so before the news broke and suggested that Google Reader was the best, or at least one of. And luckily, I, in the video, included an alternative to Google Reader called Feedly, because then as I was about to publish the blog post on the Sleater blog, the news broke literally that day that Google was discontinuing the reader. Why? They say because there's not enough people using it. But look at the reaction. Everybody's up in arms. Oh my God, what am I going to do? The world's falling apart. I can't have Google Reader after July of 2013. The good news is that Google, in and of itself, has provided you with a great way to find alternatives. Because just do a search for cloud RSS feed readers, and especially since there's such a buzz about it right now, you'll get articles like this one on Mashable. And Lifehacker had one that I recently read. And there's a million other people now, including myself, that are writing about the topic. Here's the difference, though. All these other articles you're going to read are going to talk about the alternatives, and they'll give you links so that you can go check them out on your own. Mashable has their, they're clearly featuring Feedly, which is probably one of the more popular alternatives that people are running to. But it's a very different interface than Google Reader was. So the difference here is I'm going to give you video. I'm going to walk you through some of your choices so that you can see it very visually and decide. Feedly, of course, is the alternative that I mentioned in my blog post on the Sleater blog, talking about, an alternative to Google Reader. Google Reader was a very plain, simple, and it's still there. I can still show you what Google Reader looks like, because it's not gone yet as of the time I'm recording this. So if I go over to my Google bookmarks, somebody asked me the other day, how do I deal with the fact that I don't want to go through this More menu every time? And the answer is just create a folder in your bookmarks called Google and put all the Google stuff that you like to use in it. That's what I do. So here's Google Reader, and what people have liked about this is it's very simple. It's very, it's just a very simple layout, very functional, very easy to use and get through. And what I happen to like about it particularly is if I go in, for example, to Social Media Examiner, and this is a really long post they put out, but they have such great stuff. Once I do eventually get to the bottom of this post, somewhere out there, where are you, bottom? Wow, this one's like really long. 23. A lot of tips. If I did this, I'd be yelled at by all kinds of people. Wait, here we go. I found the bottom. Okay. Notice now I have all my sharing options. This is what I like about it. And I just did another post on the Sleater blog talking about how, you can use something like this to quickly find stuff you like to read and add it to your buffer, right? So, because they have the buffer link right there. And I can share it. 29 tools to enhance your business blog. So let me just quickly add that into my buffer app. And if you want to learn more about that, just go over to the Sleater blog and watch that. Of course, I'll provide the link here in the video description and my own blog post. So what are the alternatives? I go to Feedly. Feedly is great, but it's a whole different layout. This is it's a much prettier layout. It's a much more appealing to the eye kind of UI, which is user interface. UI stands for user interface. There's going to be a quiz on that later. But Feedly gives me a much more magazine-like layout. And of course, I can, just like all feed readers, I can set up my topics. There's the Sleater blog, QuickBooks, and beyond. In fact, there's the post that I just published called What is an RSS Feed Reader? So what's great about this is I can come in here and I can read the post, and sure enough, I've got all my sharing options. So again, I can quickly add this to my buffer, and I'll do that, and I'll even include LinkedIn on it, and just buffer that. So Feedly's a great choice. And how do I add a feed? It's pretty easy to do, right? All I have to do is, let's see, if I go to add website, right? That seems pretty straightforward. And then you can find sites. It makes it a little easier for you. So let's say we want to add in the Nerd Enterprises site. Let's just put in nerdenterprises.com. And then There it is. This is I have two blogs. Nerd's blog is the older one, which I stopped posting in because everything now is going into the feed. So the other way, of course, is to actually go to the site, grab the RSS feed. Waiting. And sure enough, you know, that will get you the URL that you need. Come back over here, type it in, and sure enough, it finds it. Nerd Enterprises, Inc. Click on that, and it adds it in. And now I want to go to my settings because I'd like to put it in a folder. And I'm sure the option for that is somewhere in here. Click on Edit, and there it is. And it's already checked off in accounting. Why? Because I think I actually already had it in there. So now when I click accounting, it shows me featured. And so it gives me, again, it's more of a magazine-like layout. It's gonna choose things for me somewhat. And I like it. I like it. It's a good alternative. So Feedly, definitely one option. Really easy to add your sites. Really easy to organize them, you know, once you're looking at a site. And of course, these numbers here indicate how many new posts there are to read. So if I go over here to entertainment, there's my Dilbert stuff. And as I'm reading things, you'll see those posts will go down, those post counts. So that's Feedly. That's the walkthrough. What's the other one? I started looking at Netvibes. Netvibes was suggested, I think, on Lifehacker, actually. And this, at first, I was beginning to fall in love with it. And I'm still somewhat in love with it. But I'll tell you why I don't love it. I'll tell you where it stopped me. And it made me say, you know what, I think I need to find another feed reader instead of this one. Here's my Lifehacker. And what I love about this, first of all, let's talk about what I like about it first. And I'll talk about what I don't like. Let's be positive, okay? It lets me create these tabs so I can, you know, again, organizing things. Feedly, you had the sort of folders on the side. This is the equivalent. I can create these tabs. So I can, you know, organize things in terms of categories. So I've got like social media here. I go into social media and I've got Mari Smith. I've got my social media examiner stuff. I've got my Twitter feed here, which I think is cool that you can do that. I've got my Facebook feed. There's the social media examiner. This is something else, social media and corporate branding strategist, business coach. So, oh, this I believe is Melissa Galt. I don't know why it doesn't show me the actual title there. Anyway, so I can organize this stuff really easily. I had set one up called Money in the Stock Market, and Netvibes just did a search for me. Now, the thing about Netvibes that I want to warn you about when you go to use it is it's going to show you like three options. One is free. That's the one you're going to want. The first paid option is something like $500 a month. You're not going to need that. You're not going to want that, in my opinion. There are a lot more important things for me that I would spend $500 a month for. Although this is gorgeous and powerful, and I'm sure it's worth the $500 a month if you're in a position to be able to spare an extra $500 a month on something like this. However, what I liked about this is the visual appeal. I like the fact that I can come in here and I can get this kind of feed view, but I can also go into my settings and I can do a magazine view, which for something like this is perhaps more appropriate because it's very visual. Same thing with these guys. There's different, formats that I can choose. So if I click OK, this gives me a ticker view. That might be more appropriate on some of these stock market ones that I've got, right? So let's go over. That's not even an option here because I guess this is a different kind of feed. So you have your this is the widget view that I'm looking at. How do I add content? Very easy. In fact, what's cool about this is I have a lot of choices. I can just search for a topic and it will give me these little kind of thumbnail things, and then I can just drag them in. So if I say Wall Street and do a search, here's a bunch of Wall Street feeds. Here's money and market. Just click, drag it in. Boom, I'm there. I want to choose the settings, right? Once I'm done, click OK. And there it is. So it's giving me, actually there's two tabs in here. I've got Bing News and Yahoo News in one little tab. So that's how easy it is to add content. Want to add an RSS feed? Just choose this option like I showed you earlier. You can click the RSS feed option on a website, and then come back over to Netvibes here, and you can paste it in. You can also do an OPML import. What is an OPML import? Well, basically what I could do is notice it has the export option. So if I was using Google Reader, excuse me, you can go to Google Takeout, is what it's called, and Google Takeout will let you export all your Google Reader stuff into what's called an OPML file. I don't know what OPML stands for yet. I haven't researched that or figured it out. So I failed that quiz, but all I need to know for now is that that's the kind of file that I need to export to from one feed reader so that I can go into my new feed reader and then find the option to choose the import. And OPML, I can assure you, is going to be the file type that it's going to ask you for. And so you'll create that file, save it on your desktop, and then do the import, and it will ask you to choose a file. You'll browse to it, and you'll import your OPML file. So that's how easy it is to add content. You can go here to Essential Widgets, and these are widgets that Netvibes is actually suggesting for you. Google Analytics, weather, WebNote. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. So it's more than just a feed reader. You can really put a lot of stuff and create, one of the things that people were upset about before they sunsetted Google Reader was they sunsetted the iGoogle page. A lot of people loved those home pages. I used to use them where you can put little widgets on your home page, and that's what people like to open their web browser up to every day. Well, now you can do that here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Gmail widget here so I could, kind of get a snippet of what my emails look like when I open this up. So it's a really cool little dashboard application that you can create here with Netvibes. What don't I like about it? What's the deal breaker on this? Very simply, first of all, here's the Sleater blog, and I'm clicking refresh. I've been doing it since yesterday. We have a new post there. It's not updating in the feed. I have no idea why. It should be updating, but it's not. So obviously that's a problem. I click over here and I find the post. I only get a snippet. One thing that's really cool though is right over here I can choose show website, and it will actually open up the website within the Netvibes kind of reader. Okay, and it opens me up, of course, right to that post. Go back to the feed view. Let's say I want to share this. I have sort of limited sharing options. I can share directly to Facebook or Twitter because I've connected those accounts to this. It says confused by the Intuit merchant service. I'm not clear. I'm assuming it will put the link in there, but I don't like that it doesn't actually put it in there for me to be absolutely certain. I'd hate to click share only to have people say, hey, where's the link, right? So one bit of feedback for Netvibes is that should be in here. The link should show up just so I know for sure that that's what's actually being shared to the web. But the real showstopper on this for me is that I can't share to Buffer. I don't have a lot of other social sharing options. I can only share direct to Twitter and Facebook. So it defeats the purpose of what I had been talking about in my post on the Sleater blog about Buffer, which is that I'd like to be able to grab a whole bunch of content and put it into a queue and let it be shared piece by piece. Using this system, it really, has to be shared right now. So I can't, do that whole automation process. Bit of a showstopper. Couple of others I started checking out. Newsblur, nice and simple layout, just like Google Reader. Again, limited sharing options. Let's go to what is an RSS feed reader, which is the post I put up on the Sleater blog about that. And here it is. It's giving me a snippet. Let's go actually to the read. It's showing me in a queue of things I've shared. So here's the actual reader. And I can see I've got the snippet. If I want to click to read it, it takes me right over to the blog. Again, sort of defeating the purpose. What I really want to be able to do is I want to be able to read the whole post in its entirety if I choose to right here in my feed reader. The whole idea is not to have to be taken out to the blog. So I don't love that. If I want to share this, it says shared. If I wanted to share it again, only options are to share directly to Facebook or Twitter, and I can write a comment and so on. So again, I don't love the sharing options here, and I frankly don't love the, it's just limited in terms of what I can read. I can go here to the original, and it's loading. And again, that takes me into a view of the website, which is nice, kind of like what it does on Netvibes. The feed gives me just that. I can go to text. Okay, so there's this. So this is the text version of the post. I'm clicking back on that. And okay, so here is the most recent post, the what is an RSS feed reader. So that's the text version. So that's how I can read a whole post. Okay, so I take back what I said there. I can do it. You just have to get used to the options, and I'm new to this stuff too. I'm just exploring it for the first time. Story looks like it takes me once again into the actual website. So I'm not sure what the difference is between story and original. I guess original takes me to the actual blog. That's the difference. So that's kind of cool. So this is, you might like this. Downside of this, $24 a year. You got to pay for it. But the good news is it's only $24 a year. So if you really like this and you really like this kind of layout, then this might be for you. Newsblur, www.newsblur.com might be a great option for you. Again, it has the simple kind of layout like Google Reader had. Lots of really cool options, though, that kind of appeal to everybody. Limited on the sharing options. And for me, a lot of this is about the sharing. I don't mind going right to a blog to read it. The reason I like using a reader like this is, again, I can take lots of content and very quickly get it all into my buffer, so that buffer will then share it out for me on a schedule so I don't flood my readers with stuff. Another one, the old reader. This one I've only just started playing around with for the least amount of time, but again, nice clean layout just like Google Reader had. It claims to be the replacement for Google Reader because it is laid out in a very similar fashion. So far I've only put my own feed in here just to check it out. Again, limited sharing options. So for me, it's probably going to be Feedly. It's going to be probably a combination, honestly, of Feedly and Netvibes. Why? Because I like the widget aspect of Netvibes. By the way, Netvibes, go to the reader, and you have a very Google Reader-like layout over here. And I can go to my QuickBooks and beyond, and there it is. What is an RS? Now here, the what is the newest post is showing up. I don't know why it's not showing up in the widget view. Maybe the widgets take longer to update. So when you go to the reader option on Netvibes, you'll be able to actually see this in a very similar fashion to what you might have been accustomed to in Google Reader. But again, I still don't, there's no sharing options here. And what else can I tell you? What else can I tell you? I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, where's the sharing options? How do I share this? I don't see it. Not there. I can Facebook like it down here. So again, this is more of a visually appealing option for me, where I can go in and create these dashboards. I love the idea of having these dashboards. I love this general dashboard. I'm in Burbank. I love where I live, and so I'm often looking at what's going on right here in my city. So you can, of course, again, go to add content and just search for widgets. Put in your city, and I guarantee you, and go to news or something and put in your city, and you'll probably find all kinds of interesting stuff. I'm always looking for things to do, that sort of stuff. So that for me, it's going to be probably a combination of these two. Newsblur is kind of cool. Then again, knowing me, I'll probably just keep playing with them all and do more videos. But this is an overview, hopefully. Heck of a long overview coming up here on 18 minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up, but please post your comments and questions below. Let me know which feed readers you like. What alternatives have you found for Google Reader, if you've found any, or maybe I've given you some ideas. If that's the case, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Please post your comments and questions below, and I promise you I'll get back to you in short order. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.